and welcome to Ask Me About K-Pop, the essential guide for recent converts and season fans alike. My name is Shannon.
And I'm Angélica.
And welcome to the show. Welcome to the second episode of KCON 2022.
We did...
Wait, what year is it?
2022. It was the 10th anniversary of KCON, which started in 2012. So
yes.
It is 2022.
There we go.
And we had so much to do this year at KCON that we just simply couldn't fit it all into one episode. So this episode is all about the concert. And as always, KCON was 2 nights, and they always have a different lineup each evening. This year was no exception. That was also the case, but we went to the Saturday show. So we are going to tell you all about that evening. And yeah, this was a pretty big lineup. I think there were 8 different acts on both nights, which might be the most that we've ever seen at KCON. But it can't be sure. I'd have to look up the lineups from the past, but there were a lot of people, and the show was longer than it usually
very
was.
long.
It started at 8:00 and we didn't get out of there until about 11:30. So it was a very long show.
It surely was. But it was a good time, and we took diligent notes as we always do. Mm-hmm. So we'll tell you all about it, and you can feel like you were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had, thankfully, thank you so much, KCON, for providing us with lovely tickets to the concert. Mm-hmm. We were in different rows, but literally just catty corner one seat.
Yeah, I was like diagonally
so we could just turn around and talk to each other.
And we had a great view. We were like right on the corner of it. Seemed because the former Staples Center, current Crypto.com arena, is a stage in the round. It's a stadium where the stage is always set up in the middle. And they always, sell out all the seats. Like they don't block off a particular section, but there was one side of the stage that seemed to be the front.
Right, where all the cameras were set up in the bank.
And then, but a lot of the performers would try to do one song facing one way and then another song facing the other, which is pretty typical. So we were we were basically on the left-hand corner of the front,
quote unquote front.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel like they must have redone this arena since the last time I was there, because there are way more like levels of box seats in the middle, and then the like nosebleeds are like so high up. Like every time I looked up at the people up there, it was like giving me vertigo, even though I was on the ground. Like it's such a big place, and it was full of people.
Absolutely full.
All the varied light sticks going for like all the groups. And as always, you always see people just like bringing in light sticks for groups that aren't even there. Just because it's fun to have a light stick and you need something to cheer with. But the show started again with our girl Alex Reed coming out one more time to introduce the Berkeley dancers one more time. So we saw them do their performance for a third time. But I think this one was obviously the best because they had so much more room on the big stage, and they were in a freaking like huge arena. I bet performing in a space like that is just
wild.
Yeah.
They seemed to be having a lot of fun during their performance. And then afterward, there was like a raffle. Asiana Airlines gave away a round trip ticket to Korea. So Alex brought up the winner and they took some photos and got their tickets. And then we went into a VCR, which usually starts out KCON, and it's narrated by different idols of KCON, and they act out and spell out the rules of KCON. So like don't be on the phone, and like stand up and cheer and have fun.
Cheer loud and be respectful of all of the groups and like have a good time. And I also noticed that a lot of people were really, really going wild during this rules thing because a member of Enhypen named Sanu was not at KCON, but was the representative Enhypen for the rules video. So people were like, reacting very strongly to seeing him in the video. And it was cute.
Yeah. And then we got an 80s VCR, and it was real drama, like this road will take us one step closer. And it went from like, it said nowhere, and then the spacing changed and it said now here. And then they like popped up from the middle of the stage, because like the middle, because the stage is just a square, and the middle of it is like a platform that raises up and down. So the ATs come out, they're standing in all white under like the walls that lift up in from the middle, but they immediately leave, and then they just like stood there for a second, and then they immediately walked off stage, and the backup dancers, who were also wearing all white, came out, and they opened like with the backup dancers dancing, and there were like gold and silver accents on their outfits and stuff. One of them had like a floaty skirt thing, and somebody had silver pants. But I wrote down that, to be honest, it was a little bit hard to tell them apart from the backup dancers, because in that particular moment they were all wearing mostly white. And so that they got like confused for me. But they just did one song, and then we went immediately into another VCR. And I'm sorry, but I don't know what song that they did.
Yeah, I didn't write it down either. I wrote down all their other songs, but I don't know what the first one was. And then it went into a VCR that was like a POV of all of the groups like ringing your doorbell. Like, bing bong, it's us. We're here. Let's KCON.
Yeah. And then MC Bangchan rose out of the floor with a handful of red roses and a black suit. And I wrote, oh, his accent is so cute. And he said, it's very hot today, and it's definitely because of you. And anyway, he talked about how like he was so happy to be back after 3 years for the 10th anniversary. Like, aren't you so excited? Like, because it's a special day, I prepared something special. And then he like walked around the stage and he threw his roses into the crowd. And then he said, here in Popia, the fantasy world of K-pop.
I had been wondering all week, because the like main huge, like the color scheme for like all of the I can't think of words, like banners and signs that were like KCON 2022. It was like a blue and neon green like motif, and then there were these little like speech bubbles that said like annyeong and like KCON. I'm like, what, K-pop? And one of them said Popia, and I was like, what the fuck is Popia? And it wasn't until Bang Chan said it's a fictional K-pop land that I had any idea what Popia was.
So I didn't even notice it on the signs. Bang Chan saying it was the first time that it had ever entered my consciousness, and I was like, what the hell is this? Like, now we have a KCON Kwangya too. And yeah, apparently, because he said that they were going to present dreamlike moments and performances. And then he talked about how they had all prepared stages, and there was going to be a relay challenge plus some collaboration stages and a lucky draw. So he just sort of warmed up the crowd, got everybody to scream, had everybody do the iconic "Let's KCON," and then he sunk back into the floor. And we got ATs back on the screen, but this time we get like a concert style opening VCR where all of the members get shown with their like little name tags. And then they popped back out of the center of the stage. And this time they were wearing some pieces of the same outfits, but now they had more like black and white and gold, and the backup dancers were only in all white, so it was much easier to tell them apart the second time around.
They also had a flag.
Yes, they did have a flag. And the only one that I wrote down was Songhwa, because he's one of the 3 ATs names that I know. And he was wearing a slutty leather vest that had cutouts in it. And he had elbow-length gloves and flowy tails and a shoulder cape. And he looked real dramatic with his like high cut fade and his lines shaved into the sides of his head. But yeah, there was a cool lift in the first song. Did you write down what the songs were?
Yes, I wrote down all of the songs. The first song that they did is called Wonderland.
Okay, great. Is that the one? Is that when they brought out the weapons?
I think so, unless it was for Say My Name, which was next.
Okay, did they do that before they talked?
Yeah, they did 3 songs before they talked.
Oh, damn.
They did Wonderland, Say My Name, and Hala Hala. And during Hala Hala, I wrote down, oh my God, they are so sweaty.
Yes.
They were so sweaty.
They were so sweaty. Okay, so that means it was during Say My Name that they brought out the weapons. The backup dancers had like huge archery bows, and then Songhwa had a sword. And my note says the bass at my feet is so intense because I feel like I had never in the history of KCON been able to like feel it in my feet the way that I could. And yeah, the third song started out like kind of slow. I thought it was going to be a ballad, and then like it got real hype. And after the third song, they stopped to talk, and they did their whole group greeting. They greeted one side, then the other. And they talked about how they were back to LA after 7 months, and they introduced each of the individual members.
And somebody's mic was ringing. That was my only note for the greeting, is that somebody's mic was going like, and I was like, oh my God.
And then they introduced Gorilla, which was the next song that they did. And one of them had a cane, which they got like seemingly from nowhere. And they did the whole dance with a cane. And then they did another song.
Then they did Wave. And for Wave, they weren't doing any choreo. They were just walking around and waving and trying to like take it. Everyone tried to spend a second at like each corner of the stage. To,
they like spread out to the
fan
edges.
waving part.
And this is when I noticed that San, one of the other ATZYs that I know, had hair dye pouring down his face.
Pouring, like he looked like a broken porcelain doll, just like black cracky lines just running down
his face. And I was so in shock. And I remember, and I was like, when they were talking, because we had noticed how sweaty they were before they even stopped to talk. And I noticed when they stopped to talk that they like, some of them ran to the side and got some water, and some of them ran to the side and got a towel, because I specifically remember being like, oh, they must have to be careful about the way that they mop their sweat, because one of them had just like face planted like into the towel. And then I saw San with this hair dye running down his face, and I was like, none of your bros gave you a towel? San!
They were so, like, if we could see from our seats how bad it was, they were standing right next to him. Like, nobody was like, bro.
Nobody helped him.
So much hair dye on your face.
It was crazy. I felt so bad for him, and he had his little, like, black bowl cut, so it was just in all, like, down his cheeks and all over his forehead. Oh, my poor son. My poor boy. But anyway, he never once, I mean, he probably didn't know, so he just like gave everything he had, and
with all his hair dye,
gray
face.
streaks down his cheeks.
Then they did a song called Rocky, and somebody like was given like a red like boxing robe and a WWF
that was Woo Young,
ball,
the other one.
Like
I know,
a WWF like championship belt to like go with the vibe of a song called Rocky.
Yes. And then, no. Well, do you have one more song after them? Oh, okay. And then they do the last song.
And their last song was The Real. Mm-hmm. And my note for this was just like, I was angry at this point because I was like, they just did 7 songs. Mm-hmm. And I was like, 2016 me is so mad that I only saw SHINee do 3 songs. And they just got to do 7? Like,
yeah.
I was just like shocked because I don't think I'd ever seen anyone do such a long set at KCON ever.
Yes, that was interesting too, is that like in previous years, it had been more, the concert time felt more evenly split. In that like everybody just gets 3 or everybody gets 15 to 20 minutes, and like and then there was like like the year 17 was there, or like the second year 17 was there that we went and saw them. They got to do like an additional like surprise stage like throughout with the units, and then they played at the end. Or maybe it was like everybody does 3 songs and then the last person gets to do 5 or something. But to have the very first person come out, sing, then leave, then come back and do a whole like 30 straight minutes of just ATs, I couldn't believe it. I was really surprised. But my only note for the last one is, this is that ATEEZ high school song that somebody sent us because I
yes, because it was the song that we watched on our one K-pop video episode.
And it has like super like high pitched traditional instrument in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But then we get a Kepler VCR. That's my next note.
Yes, it was a baby photo VCR of like a lot of baby photos and baby videos of Kepler, and the like thesis of the video was, quote, the stage that we dreamed of.
Yes.
So it was all about like, this is what I've always wanted, and now we're here.
And then the ladies came out and they were all wearing these like very sort of Clueless style, like matching 2 pieces, red and white, with some plaid and like little blouses and ankles, like little white ankle boots. But they did La Vie en Rose
by ITZY, and I was so stoked because I loved this song and it was very exciting to see Kepler do it. But like my main note was, holy shit, they are so small. Because like compared to like the ATEEZs who had just sunk into the stage, then these like extremely tiny girls like came up in their place and they were so small.
They were very little.
But I loved it. I loved hearing La Vie en Rose sung by someone else. And it was a fun little cover to start with. But then they went away and I was like, what?
They went away immediately. And then we had what is another staple of the KCON concert, which is that the different idol MCs will just appear in the crowd. Like they come out of the VOMs and just like stand in the stairwells and do their little next piece from there. So we had Yeji and Leah from ITZY, and they said their piece sort of half in Korean and half in English. And at first they were like, they said hello to everybody, and then they like read out different fan signs around them, and they were supposed to, in this segment, talk to a fan that had been like pre-selected, and they asked the camera like to show the fans, and this got a little awkward because it took a while.
So awkward. They like showed the fans for like 1 second and then like went back to the crowd, and then Leo was like, can you show us the fan?
Yeah.
And then like more silence and like more rumbling, and like this took forever, but then they did finally show us like 2 girls in the pit who had a microphone, and it was like, who are you here to see? And they said Gravity?
No, they said in Hypen. And then Leah and Yeji were like, well, we have a little bit of a special surprise for you, because this is a quote unquote interview that is happening through these enormous screens on the, so it's like a weird Zoom call, but like you're both in the same room and live, and everybody's watching you. And so Yeji and Leah were like, we have a special surprise for you. And then like nothing happened. And they were like, just wait a moment. I'm sure it will come any moment now. And then finally, Hypen came out into the wings of the stage and they were shown on screen. And so like the boys from Hypen and the girls in the crowd like just shouted, oh, I love you, like at each other. And I wrote that the girl in the corset shoots her shot, LOL, because she said something about like so-and-so, I love you, this is for you. And then like gave him like little hearts or something. And then he like laughed. But I just wrote that Leah is a hero for like trying to deal with it, for having to deal with
it. It was so awkward, and I said I hope that the fans really liked that, because oh my god, what a whole thing.
Yeah,
it like took a very long time, and in the silences between while everybody was waiting, there was just like a weird, panic is too strong of a word, but there was like a weird vibe in the crowd, and everyone was just like looking around and trying to see what was happening and trying to see what was going on, and nothing was going on, and it was just like very strange,
just very like frantic energy.
And something that I thought was interesting, now that you mentioned it, that Yeji was speaking in Korean. I feel like in previous years, some like thinking about like Vernon and Josh or whatever being the MCs, that when the idols were speaking in Korean, it was like it was scripted and they'd put subtitles on the screen. That was not, they did not do that this time.
Yeah, so like Yeji's, whatever she said in that segment just went unsubbed for everybody there. Like I don't have any notes on what they actually said before this whole awkward fan interaction, because we don't know.
I have no idea.
But then Yeji and Leah introduced Lightsam. And so we got the Lightsome member pictures on the screen with the names, just like they did for ATEEZ. And the members appeared spread out in the corner of the stage. So there were like 2 in every corner. And they did this little dance intro with just 2 members at a time. And then they came into the middle for the main formation. And this is when they were wearing their green and black and white, like schoolgirl, cheerleader, Letterman jacket outfits, which was really cute. Did you get any of the song titles for these?
I know that the first one is their debut song, but like I don't know off the top of my head what it's called. But I bet I could find it in like 2 seconds. It's called Alive. Yes. Yeah. So they did Alive, and then when they were giving their little group member introduction, I ran to the bathroom really fast, and I wrote this down just because I kind of couldn't believe it, but someone was fucking smoking a cigarette in the bathroom during the Lightsome thing. I was like, okay.
Wow, I don't know if I've ever actually seen anybody smoking a cigarette in a bathroom like you're in Greece. Yeah. That's so funny. But so yeah, my notes for their little talk was just that one of the members had a fully crimped ponytail and that their voices are just as tiny as they are. And then they sang one more song,
which is called, I don't know how to pronounce this, but it's VIVACE.
What?
VIVACE. Vivace.
Vivaci.
I don't know.
But the little girl in front of me, there were 2 little girls in front of me that were like maybe 7. And one of them was living for Lightsome. She like stood on her chair and she was like trying to follow along with her hands in the choreography. She was like doing it wasn't the same choreo, but it was like intentional. And she was having such a great time.
So they were very cute, those little girls.
Yeah, they were very cute. And then Gravity came out immediately after Lightsome. They had their member names and the pictures on the big screen. They were all wearing like bedazzled Canadian tuxedos, denim jackets, and jeans with like printed shirts.
These were the sparkly jackets I saw them in at the tour.
Yes, at the Rookie
that I wrote down. Beautiful sparkles.
And I believe they started with Adrenaline.
Yes, they did.
And that song is such a bop. And there was like big high kicks in it. It was really fun. And they did an extended dance break where then almost every member got like an ending fairy moment. And then they did their intro. They said hello. And the member who was from LA, who had talked about it being a full circle moment.
Alan is his name, I believe. Yeah.
He did most of the talking. He said he was so happy to be performing in his hometown, and that even though they're rookies, they're so excited to be here and like traveling around. And then they introduced their next, which I think is the last song that they did. And I didn't write down what it was.
It's called My Turn.
Okay, I just wrote down that it was loud. And the little girl in front of me who had been living for Lightsome was straight up pouting in her chair during the entire Gravity performance. And the mom that she was with turned around to us. I don't know, I guess like the girls behind me had like made a joke about how like, oh, she's so mad now. And their mom turned around and was like, she just really doesn't have patience for the boy groups. And I was like, good for her. But then we got a really interesting surprise. And there was like a little VCR thing that I think showed or like introduced the idea that ITZY's Studio Choom, which had Ryujin and Yeji, they did a Studio Choom dance to a BB Rexa song called Break My Heart Myself. And the video had reached over 200 million views, and they introduced a groundbreaking stage where BB Rexa herself appeared in the middle from underneath the screens, and she started singing Break My Heart Myself. And then Yeji appeared out of the floor in one corner of the stage, and she took a verse, and then the two of them sang the chorus together, and then Ryujin joined from the other corner of the stage, and she sang a verse, and then
she sang like 2 lines.
Yeah, she didn't even have a whole
part was
verse.
Like so small. I was like, what?
And I also wrote down that they never never sang all three together. Like when Yeji came out, like she did the verse and then they like kind of harmonized sometimes during the chorus. And then Ryujin came out and she did like 2 lines and then they kind of harmonized during the chorus. But all 3 of them never sang at the same time. And I was like, that feels like a wasted opportunity to not like do a full-fledged cover with 3 of you, but whatever.
But it was cool because it was a total surprise and nobody had any idea that it was going to happen.
Yes.
So that's a fun little KCON surprise.
And we got another fun KCON surprise, which is that 3 Racha or Sriracha of Stray Kids, they did a special stage. Bang Chan came up from the middle of the floor and the other 2 came up from the sides. And they were wearing like tan flight suits and 2 of them had like folded it down to have like shirts underneath.
They looked like Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
like cool Ghostbusters. And this is when I started to, I think I like fell in love with Changbin from Stray Kids a little bit during this show. He just has amazing stage presence and I was so drawn to him and it's so funny to me. I like, don't understand. I'm like such a vocal stan and I like love vocalists and that's what I care about K-pop. But like rappers, I'm always just like, rappers? Yes. Like I don't get it. But anyway, I think the song that they did was called We Be Screamin'.
Sure. I didn't write down any titles. I
was writing
every
down
once
titles
in a
the
while.
whole time because I needed to know.
Dude, when I tried to Shazam the AT songs, my Shazam straight up didn't recognize them. They were like, nothing here. And I was like, but this is a song.
I know you can do it.
My Shazam really failed me this time around, but that's okay. So then we got a super unknown group to us, which was ITZY.
Yes, but I just thought it was interesting because in the little clip package that introduced ITZY, they were like really hyping up the idea of Korean survival shows.
Yes.
And they called them, quote, the beginning of endless K-pop expansion.
Yeah.
So I wrote that down because I was like, oh, because this is a group, it's a Japanese group, but they were formed on a Korean K-pop survival style reality show. And so like, I don't know, the whole point was like, we're now outsourcing this format.
Yeah.
Which was very
It was very
interesting.
interesting. And I also found it like a little bit ironic considering all the controversy and like implosion of the Produce franchise that they were like really elevating that Produce style show, like putting it on this pedestal. And I was like, I mean, that all crashed and burned, but sure. Yeah. Okay. So then anyway, the members came up out of the middle of the floor. They were wearing like black and white, different structured jackets. There were a lot of boys in this group. I think there were about 11.
I think there are 11 of them.
Yeah.
I looked it up beforehand and there were 11 of them on the stage.
Yes, they were all there. And my notes say, I'm guessing this song is called Password because they kept saying press the password.
I'm a press my password
Yeah.
is the chorus. But I also was confused and wrote this down. I wrote, what language is this song in? Because when they played it before the concert started, you know, they were like showing music videos or showing little clips. And we had seen, ITZY on the list. And I was like, who are they? Oh, they're Japanese. And they were playing a clip of their music video. And the song was absolutely in Japanese in the music video. But when they were singing at KCON, they were singing in Korean. So I was like, have they redone this song in both languages? Is this special for KCON? I was a little confused.
I wonder if, because they said that this was the title of their
Upcoming, right?
It was a title off of their August release.
Okay.
So I think maybe if they had been formed and then quote unquote debuted off of the show, maybe the original version was in Japanese and then the like release that they're putting out, the official release is in Korean. That would be my guess.
That would make sense.
But I don't know. I'd have to look into it. So then they introduced themselves as a group and as individuals. They said that it was the first time performing for their overseas fans, but I honestly could not hear their names.
No,
like their
you could
mics were
only-
like going in and out.
Their
or something.
mics were not working, except for one of their mics was working very clearly because it was just like over, like somebody was breathing extremely hard into a mic, but then everybody else's mics were really hard to hear. But they all like tried to individually introduce themselves, and they all said cute things like, I'm Japanese samurai. And then they like do like a weird move. They just kept like saying silly things. And they were so excitable, and they seemed like really happy and like nice boys, but I couldn't hear them very well.
Yeah, couldn't really hear them at all. And then they did a second song that was very loud, and I said it had fun knee choreo.
It's called Rocketeer, and it was their debut song.
All right, there we go. And then so I only did 2 tracks, and then they were done. And then we got 2 in hyphens as our MCs, and one of them was Australian.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was like, oh, there's just all these Australian boys all over this K-pop now.
Yeah, I know. The Aussies have infiltrated. But they said, how would you feel to perform with your idols? And so they introduced the Kepler Dream Stage. And so this is where people competed during the convention to dance with Kepler. And they got to dance together during the day of the convention. And also they were going to get the chance to do it now at KCON. So Kepler came out of the floor. They were wearing different plaid outfits, and they did their debut song Wadada. And they, for the second chorus, the fans like came in from all corners of the stage, and they like filled it all up, and they got to dance. They basically only did every chorus.
Yeah, it was very funny because the final chorus comes pretty quick after the like bridge or thing or whatever. So they all like ran down the stairs and then like immediately ran back up them. But it was so like, I don't know, it like made me emotional, and it was like really, really cool because they picked a lot of fans.
Yes, I thought it was just going to be a few, but they filled like, that whole stage.
And they were all killing it, and they were all like different ages and races, and everyone was wearing different outfits.
Yeah,
and, like,
we had different body types and like all different kinds of people on stage too. Like it was really, they picked a nice diverse like sampling of people, and it was really sweet afterward because the fans got to stay and like say hello to Kepler and take a picture with them, and I saw this one girl that was like talking to Huning Bai he afterwards, and like they were like having a nice sweet little moment, and she gave her like a big hug. It was really cute. And then the group introduced themselves and they like said hello,
but the leader's mic was busted. Like it was not working at all, which was a weird bummer.
Yeah. And then we got a VCR, which was something that almost all the groups did, and this was
for the rest of the show,
which was an emoji quest. And so this was basically just like 2 or 3 members from the group were given emojis to recreate, and they just had to like make their expression
face look like that. But it was very pre-recorded and had the like whoop 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 sound effects in it.
Yeah, and all the like editing and stuff. It was a whole little package. It wasn't like a live challenge. And then they did Up Up Up.
But I thought it was very funny before they did Up is that after all of the fans left from the dream stage, they all like ran to the middle and like got in formation for the start of Up. And this extremely long VCR played, and they were all just like standing there in the dark. And it was like this, it was just very funny because they just had to like stand still while this very long VCR played.
Yeah.
Yes. And they did Up, and I loved it. And I screamed the whole thing, and I loved it. I loved that song. I was so excited to see Kepler.
Yeah, it was great. So then we had in Hypen, and we got a very dramatic VCR. They talked about like walking the line until you can draw the line yourself or something like that. And then the boys came out of the middle, and they were wearing like suits and ties with like wallet chains and little pops of red. Like one of them had their guns out. And I think the first song was called Pass the Mic.
Yeah, it's called Future Perfect parentheses Pass the Mic.
All right. Very well. I have a note that says the breathing after each track is so loud.
It was like so like funny and strange that it was
loud.
like when people were talking, you couldn't hear them, but like the heavy breathing was like constant.
It was so loud. So after Pass the Mic, they introduced themselves and as a group and as individuals. And then they did a giveaway, which this took a long time as well. For my very first note is, how is this going to work? Like, are you truly finding these people in the crowd? Like, are we going to have to wait for them to make their way to the stage?
And they didn't do that. But it was strange because I think that this was like a booth at the regular convention center. You could get a raffle ticket. And then they were pulling numbers out of a box. But like, not everyone who goes to the convention is at the concert.
Right.
So they would just like call a number and then like spin around and look at this like 20,000 people and be like, anyone?
Yeah.
And it took forever. And then, like, sometimes people would be screaming and they'd be like
shaking their light stick or something.
Like, did that person win? Like, have we done enough? And, like, it was awkward.
Yeah,
and took
it was a bit
time.
of a mess. But the raffle was for signed merch. And I think it was, like, official KCON merch.
Yeah.
So I think that this would have been at the official, like, KCON merch booth or whatever. But anyway, they were just, like, calling the names. They pulled 5 or 6, and then they said, look at the info online to see how to redeem your tickets after the concert. And I was like, good luck to y'all. And then we got another little emoji quest VCR from a few of the Enhypens before their next song. And I saw that the boys were like passing water bottles to each other in the dark because they also had to like wait in the dark on stage.
That was the other part
VCR.
that was kind of funny, is like, because it is a stage in the round, like at K-pop concerts, they tuck water bottles and towels like into the front monitors. But because they're in the middle of this huge stage, like a member or two would just have to like scamper all the way to the side.
Yeah.
And it was very funny because then they'd be like so far away from the group and have to get back to them.
But so the second song that they did, the choreo like started in a pile. And my guess for the title of the song is Fever.
That is correct.
Great. It's based solely off of whatever they repeated a lot.
I like that song a lot.
Yes, my only note is that it was sluttier than the first track. And then we got Polaroid My Love, or Polaroid Love.
Yes, and that was a walk around
one.
and wave instead of doing choreo thing.
That one was like cheerful fan song, and they just said thank you and goodbye, and Enhypen was gone. And then we got Felix and Hyunjin of Stray Kids as our MCs. They popped up and they introduced a girl group that they said represented Gen Z. And they said that this girl group had remixed a song for us, and they introduced the Gen Z Pop Special Stage, which was Lightsome, who were supposedly doing a Tomboy remix, but it was not a remix. It was just the song from start to finish. But it had, 9 people in it instead of 5.
Which I was a little bit like tickled by, just because like our dance teacher will occasionally make us do a 4-member group song with 9 people. Mm-hmm. And it's always like a struggle to make people like fit into the formations or whatever. So I was like, look at them like doing Tomboy with too many people.
But they did a good job.
They did a good job.
Really,
and they also, for like the last chorus, instead of all staying in the middle, they all split up and just faced the audience from the edges of the stage to do like the last little chorus or whatever. And everyone was going freaking crazy and like singing the song so loud because that is like absolutely one of the top songs of the year. Mm-hmm. And everyone was happy to see Tomboy. But it wasn't a remix. It was a fun cover, but they didn't change it at all.
Yeah. It was just a cover. So then we had a VCR with ITZY, and the girls were looking cute and like old school internet graphics. And then they were like the middle screen walls like came down. So they were like hidden inside the walls. And then the walls lifted up and they were all in white. They did sneakers first. And then they introduced themselves. And Leah had some kind of mic pack issue, like her whatever was happening. She like had to like run and talk to somebody for a minute and then like come back. And she was like trying to talk while like stuffing it back into the little like built-in pocket. And they had prepared a game. So they did an emoji quiz. The members of the group had to look at like a little like hieroglyphics of emojis and guess the song title and the artist and do the point choreo. And whoever got the most points would be the ending fairy for their next song. And this was really cute. Like for the first one, it was like a kind of complicated like
because
emoji.
I think we were all expecting, like when you usually do these, it's like you expect it to spell something or to be like, what are the puzzles on the PBR caps? Like
yeah.
Like where it's like each emoji is a piece of the title, but it was basically all
like
of these emojis are the So the first one was like a couple and a broken heart and a girl crying and then like a regular heart that was back intact. And so they were like, they figured out that it was Blackpink somehow, but then they were guessing like every possible Blackpink song.
Because I think the first guess was Kill This Love. And then I guess it was Leah who was doing the MC, and she was like, "It is someone from like it is related to Blackpink. Like you're not totally wrong on the artist." And like Yuna like ran to the audience to be like, "Help me! Like give me hints, give me clues." And Ryujin eventually guesses that it's Jenny Solo. And they like all do a little bit of the choreo, which was cute because that was a part, like that's how you had to get the game or how you would get the point. And then the next one was BTS's Fire, and nobody knew the choreo to it, which was very fun. But they all did the little like arm lifties. And that's all they had, but it was very funny. But it was really fun. And then the third one, which was for 3 points. So like Ryujin got 2 points because she was the one who guessed Solo and Fire. And then Yeji guessed this last one, which was like a very long series of things, but it was ITZY Mafia in the morning.
It was funny because the first two, it was like a moon and the night emoji, and then it was the sunrise emoji, and then a detective emoji. Yeah. And so I guess the detective guy, because of his hat and coat, was supposed to represent the mafia.
Yes, it was very funny. But so Yeji got that right, and because that was for 3 points, she won the ending fairy moment. And then they sang Surf, which is my favorite ITZY song, and I absolutely screamed when they said, "Okay, now it's time for Surf." And I was like, what? Yes! I was so happy. They all like went to each one, like there was one in every corner, and then somebody stood in the middle and they just like sang it. And it was so beautiful. I love that song so much. It's so fun. And then they all got back together in the middle to do Wannabe. They were so out of breath after. It was really funny. But they were killing it. And then they said, our last song is really fun to sing along to. So like sing along if you know it. And they did Dala Dala.
Which was great because we saw them do Dala Dala last time we saw them at KCON,
which was right 3 years after their debut.
Yes.
They were brand new then.
And go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think we saw them do like Dala Dala and maybe Icy.
I think that's all they had at the moment. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of an interesting thing that, I mean, maybe this can be a wrap up conversation, but that the last time we were at a KCON concert, we saw both ITZY and Stray Kids, and both groups have like grown and changed so much in that time between.
Well, and ITZY and Stray Kids were the headliners of this evening. Mm-hmm. Like they were the final acts. And when we had seen them before, they were like the opening acts because they had just debuted and only had a couple songs. And now they each got like 30 minutes or whatever. So that was really cool. Well, I mean, I guess ITZY didn't do as many songs as ATEEZ did. But they still got like a nice chunk of time. So that was interesting to see the difference. And then their set ended with their little emoji quest VCR where they had to recreate the emojis. And then we got San and another ATEEZ as our MCs. My only note for whatever they were saying was that their inflection was really funny because they were like saying everything in English, but they had clearly just like memorized the lines.
Phonetically,
yeah. And there was just like a part where they were like, yeah, you're right. And it was just like a very like stilted sort of reading. But they were introducing a special stage that was going to be a relay performance challenge of previous KCON performances. So they showed like videos of like 2 p.m. and Twice doing a collaboration stage at a previous KCON, or like Super Junior doing Lo Siento with Leslie Grace or whatever.
Yeah, they introduced it as somehow like that they had gotten people to vote on Twitter for like
the
10 most
10
iconic KCON performances ever or something.
Yeah. And so then we had a VCR where Enhypen watched and discussed those 10 voted on stages, and then decided to do BTS. So then we had a live performance where Enhypen came out and they did Permission to Dance. But it was not a relay. Like they had,
they did it.
They said it was a relay performance challenge. Like that was the title of this segment. But they just did the dance and the choreo. Like it was just a cover. Just like the Lightsum was not a Tomboy remix. It was just a cover. But that was fun. And the Enhypens got to come back out. And then I have our Stray Kids drama VCR.
Yep.
It's time for them to be dramatic.
That's where we're at. Yep.
So we get like a lot of one shots, which are like overlaid with like behind the scenes footage and like performances and their music videos. And it had like voiceovers and headlines and a real like intro.
Hype up for Stray Kids.
And then every single member got a name and a close up, and they popped up from the middle of the stage. And they were just wearing like simple black, like pants and black button-ups with like t-shirts or some structured black something. A lot of leather pants, a lot of Alexander McQueen. And the first song was Maniac. And
it was so great live.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, that song is such a mood, and like, wow.
Yeah.
I feel like Stray Kids music is a little bit too much for me in everyday life, but Stray Kids music live is exactly how it should be. Like
totally.
perceived.
And I feel like there's been a handful of Stray Kids songs that have like caught my attention in the past, but I feel like I walked away from the Stray Kids show being like, I totally get it. Like in this first song, literally my first note is I get it, to be honest. Like because Maniac is so fun, and then like when that first line of Felix drops in, like maniac or whatever, my notes are just like, Felix, truly I love you, like you bring me so much joy, like just literally just the sound of your voice makes me so happy. But so Maniac was really fun, and then they did their group intro, and Bang Chan is so smiley and adorable. I like can't get over it. He's too charming.
Yeah.
And they did a KCON Make-A-Wish segment.
Yes. I had my notes before that are I probably was just like too sleepy and feeling too sensitive, but the screams for each of the members were so deeply unbalanced. It like made me feel bad for them. I was like, oh no, like I bet that's hard to realize like I'm the not popular member of this group.
Yeah.
Because the screams were very unbalanced. And I also wrote down, because it made me laugh, the Stray Kids kept like at any moment of silence going, boo, 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 boo.
Yes. That's really funny. I feel like one of them did it when there was just like Felix and Hyunjin emceeing. There was like a moment of silence and Hyunjin was just like, boo, 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 boo. And I'm like, what are we doing? Anyway.
Make-A-Wish challenge.
Make-A-Wish.
Yes.
So fans sent wishes. So the members had to pick one name out of a box and then a wish out of the other box. So the first name to get pulled out was Hyunjin. And for his wish, he had to do 10 push-ups. He, for whatever reason, chose to do these push-ups one-handed. And let me tell you, the boys struggled through those 10 push-ups. All the members came around and were like helping lift him up and down through these 10 push-ups, and I was like,
but he didn't
I don't
give
think
up. And,
anyone told you had to do them one-handed, bro. But he persevered. He got through them all. Then we had Lino. He got pulled out of the hat. And he had to do his favorite photo poses. So he just like posed 4 times and did cute little faces. And then Sumin was the last one. He got pulled out, and his Make-A-Wish was to smile as wide as he can. So then the camera zoomed in real close, and he smiled real big, and he has braces. It was the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen.
I don't know how it like worked out so perfectly that he's the one that had to smile, and like, oh my God, his braces.
Oh my God, I
love that
loved
idols have braces now.
I know. I think it's really, really, really cute. We had been watching some TV show recently and like seen a boy on it that had braces, and we were like so shocked by it. Because I remember like he getting Invisalign and stuff.
Right.
And so that like this boy is just like out here with his little clear rubber band metal braces. I was like, that's fucking cute. And then they did another lucky draw. So this was the same thing that Gravity did, pulling these raffle tickets out of the box for signed merch, and then like trying to find them in the crowd. And at this point I have a note that says, why is it 11:18 and this concert is still going? For the love of God, I am tired.
I wrote it's 11:19 and I fear the concert will never end.
So then we got the Emoji Quest VCR while they cleared the stage of all the boxes and shit. And then we did you get the name of the next one?
Yes, I have the name of all
Okay,
the songs.
what is it?
The next one was called Thunderous.
Okay, I wrote that it had slutty choreo, a lot of deep squats and body and pelvic rolls. And I noticed that Hyunjin's hand was all wrapped up in a bandage. So I don't know, but he's injured, I guess. He didn't perform as so he was
that's why he
injured
did one-handed push-ups.
Oh,
his other hand was bunk. We got it.
To. Okay,
Oh,
then
wow.
I give you less shit for struggling through those. Good for you. Good for you.
You made the best of it.
You did everything you could. And then they did Backdoor, and I was so excited. That's my personal favorite Stray Kids song, and they did a really good job during that song of playing to different sides of the stage, because like we said, a lot of artists will just like do one song with the front on one stage and then turn to the other side of the stage to do another song. But in Backdoor, they like did it throughout the whole, like the whole song was played to different sides of the crowd, and that was really cool. Then we got another Ment, and I said, Lasai. And Bang Chan was like, we could do this all night. And my note says, but we can't, Bang Chan, please. So then they did God's Venue, and they started it out just like jumping around, no choreo until like the first chorus, and then they like got into it for real.
They had also set up before they started that they wanted everybody to do the do-do-do-do-do-do's like with them or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And then that was the last song that they did. So they said that wraps up KCON 2022 LA day 1. They brought everybody back out for the final like group goodbye, and we had the confetti cannons go off. And that was
it.
We finally filed out of that stadium at 11:30 p.m.
Yeah, and I wonder, we talked to somebody on the last day who was wondering if Bang Chan got told in his in-ears like we gotta go, because I still feels like so confused by how like unbalanced the show was.
The set
like,
times
that ATEEZ did so many songs, but they didn't talk or like play a game, or like they didn't do anything extra. They just like did a whole bunch of songs, which is like, you know, great, cool. They got to like show a lot. And I wonder if Stray Kids were also going to do like 7 songs.
Yeah, because they only did like 4. And so it's interesting that the last act did fewer songs than the first
one. But it also could very well be a thing, because I know there are like city ordinances that like if they had let us out of there too late, Crypto.com would have to like pay fines to the neighborhood, because like it's too late and you can't have people like making noise on the street after a certain amount of time. So I do wonder if they would have gone longer if perhaps the technical difficulties and the raffle stuff like didn't take as long as it ended up taking. Like if maybe they had slated the show to fit in a different timeline or something. But yeah, I feel like it was the longest KCON show I've ever been to.
Yeah, well, and I was thinking about it afterward too, because like I said, there were 8 artists that performed that night, which feels like more than we usually see. And I know that obviously KCON has expanded throughout the years, but like that's a long lineup. And then like even if we had done it so that like everyone got like 15 to 20 minutes, we would still have gotten out of there in like 2.5 hours. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that like some people got 10 minutes and some people got 30, and then the show was 3.5 hours long, was just really odd. And I wonder how that came to be, and if maybe that was a mistake, or like if, you know, certain things ran longer than they were supposed to, or I just don't know. Yeah, I don't know how that stuff gets decided. And like, obviously, you know, like if Lights Up only has 2 songs or whatever, then you can't give them a whole 15 minutes or something. But like, I don't know. It was just set up very differently from the KCON concerts that we've seen in the past, and I wonder why.
Yeah, and I think it like just showed to me, because I feel like years ago, when we first started getting to go to things like this, like KCON or the Hollywood Bowl show or whatever, like the first time we saw Shiny at the Hollywood Bowl, we were deeply incensed that they only did like 3 or 4 songs, because it was like,
that they only did 3 songs.
How is this possible? But it's like, that is a thing that is like extremely fair. Like every single person invited gets the same time slot. So it doesn't matter who you're here to see. We're all like getting the same amount of time. But this felt very, very weighted in like, these are the groups that are popular, so they'll get the most time, which is like, again, really good for those fans. Mm-hmm. But like, for the sake of like the unity of KCON, like, I think it would be better if everyone got the exact same amount of time.
Especially because I think those shows like the KMF, like Korean Music Festival we go to at the Hollywood Bowl, or the older KCONs, like those had less of a feeling of having a headliner. Like it wasn't about having that one really popular person, because like, for example, with the KMF ones, like we had trot singers and K-pop singers, so it's like, it's not fair to say that these K-pop singers are like more famous
important or more
important than the trot singers who have been around for like 40 years or whatever. So everybody got the same amount of time, and it was just like a showcase. And I think that made more sense for KCON too, because, you know, like when you have a lineup that's like Turbo and Shiny and G-Friend or whatever, like, you know, who one is established, one is really popular now, and one is just debuted, like, yeah, it makes sense to just, everybody gets the same amount of time. Like, we're all just here together. And that wasn't really the vibe of this one. Like, it definitely was, not, I don't want to say a hierarchy in that sense, but because that feels like the wrong word. But like, there was very much a effort to highlight the rookies, but also a separation between the rookies and the more well-established groups. And that was just interesting. It was different.
Yeah. And I'm curious, like, again, as we said in the other episode, we wouldn't have made it through anyway, even if we'd tried. Like, I think I would have been too delirious to even take notes. But I'm curious if for Sunday, like things like the raffle games or the surprising someone in the audience, if they tightened that up by Sunday, and maybe Sunday didn't go as long. But I also know that they saved like Dream for the end on Sunday, and since they've like never performed in the US before, I bet they got a whole big chunk.
Yeah. And yeah, we usually only go to one day of the concert. We had the opportunity to go to the second day, but we were just too beat. We wouldn't have been able to really give it our full attention. So we just had the one day, which is fine. That's what we usually do.
Yeah, it's great.
We definitely still got all the same KCON that we always do, plus more. Mm-hmm. So it was an incredible experience, like very fun show from start to finish, but different from previous years, and definitely trying some new things, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely like, it's a new era of KCON, and in 10 years the whole thing has changed a lot. Mm-hmm. But I still think that its general mission to like bring K-pop to people who don't get to see it all the time is still like very present. And I do think that the rookie focus is cool, even though it makes me feel ancient to be like, I don't really know anything about these groups. I'm just like happy to be here. But for the sake of people who, you know, like who Gravity is their favorite group, or like the ladies we talked to in line got into K-pop for ENHYPEN, then this is a great opportunity to get to see ENHYPEN. So like,
and I also think it is a really cool opportunity for the groups themselves who
to
like
play
we
at the
said,
goddamn Staples
yeah,
Center.
like it's a huge stadium and it's completely sold out. I'm sure it was the biggest crowd a lot of those groups had ever played for. And you know, it's in the US and like there are multiple stops, and sometimes KCON New York and Chicago like don't have the same lineup, but sometimes they do. Or they have similar artists or whatever. And, you know, for these groups that are newer, that are rookies, that are maybe from smaller companies, they can't go on their own US tour yet, but they get the opportunity to come to something like KCON. That's really cool. And I am like glad that they get that chance to sort of expand and bring in new fans, right? Because like somebody who goes to that show for ENHYPEN might come out of it being like, ooh, I really liked I too. Or like, I'm going to have to check out that Lightsum or whatever.
Yeah. We heard a lot from a lot of people all weekend that like Lightsum was like snatching hearts and minds like all weekend.
Yes.
Like people were falling in love with Lightsum.
Yeah.
So yeah,
for
cool
them.
for them that they got to do that. But yeah, it was a great time, and I'm still going to be recovering from this for a while.
Yeah.
But it was great to get to go, and we'll see what happens next year. So I hope you enjoyed this little recap of Saturday night. And if you did go to Sunday, like reach out to us. I'd love to hear how it turned out and what the highlights of that one was.
Yeah, I'm sad that I didn't get to see my Kiho and my Dawon, my 2/3 of my fantasy co-ed group, my sweet, sweet honey voiced angels. I hope you had a wonderful time, and I'm sorry I missed you.
Yeah, me
I love
too.
you.
All right, and with that, we'll be right back with a random game. Oh boy, last minute surprise, popping in the break here to let you know that a couple of our Alex who went to the show on Sunday night have recorded a little recap of how the Sunday night show went. So we're going to plop that at the end of the episode. So stay tuned after the ending theme song to hear what Sunday was like from people who were actually there. All right, we are back, and this week the random number generator gave us a first-gen co-ed group called Sharp, and this was stylized S hashtag waffle, whatever you in Korea they call it waffle, ARP, and this was a 5-member co-ed group for most of the time.
Yeah. They had a little bit of switching of members, like they debuted as 5, and then after their debut, somebody left, and then they brought in a new person, and then somebody else left, and they brought in another new person.
So I think there were only 4 when it ended. But if you want to hear the whole story of Sharp, we went really deep into it in our episode 55. It's called Boys and Girls, and we talked about co-ed groups. And this group ended very, very dramatically because one of the members was like physically abusing another one of the members, and there was a really dramatic press conference where like a manager was like, I can't take the lies anymore, and it was like a whole thing. So please go back and listen to that episode to hear the whole story of Sharp,
because it's a pretty wild story. But they were fairly popular for their few years. They were together from 1998 to 2002. They released 7 studio albums, and their first album only peaked at 15, but all of their subsequent albums were in the top 5. So they did pretty well, and they've released 1 compilation album as well.
And we are going to be watching the music video for their song Tell Me, Tell Me that came out in 99. And it was like their first music show win. And I think it's kind of remembered as maybe their most popular song. So that's what we're going to watch. The music video is available on the Recording Industry of Korea's Association's official YouTube channel. So if you're looking up the Sharp Tell Me video, that's the version we're going to watch today. So if you'd like to watch along with us, you can pull it up and press play when I say go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so we have the member. Oh, no, it just changed. We're on like some
It looks like a roof again.
roof, I guess. Yeah. But we've got 5 members in black outfits with like crazy leather, and then 5 backup dancers in white. Oh, wow. Look at that outfit. Okay, so there's a dance scene on the roof, but then there's also like the members get one-shots in these like black rooms that have different fluorescent lighting setups.
We've also got a convertible and a tunnel shot.
Yeah. One of these girls is just wearing leather baggy overalls. Another one is wearing a like full plastic reflective silver jacket that has
Spikes?
individual feathers like on it. Some like wires coming out of it. It's got weird things coming off of it. And then this girl's just in a blazer that says spoon on the side. Like, what is that? I have a lot of questions.
But I'm really all about this 1999 hair we have going on here. We've got just like the little front bangs and the big spiky ponytails and lots of great looks. But yeah, these pleathery outfits on the rooftop in the sunshine are like making me sweaty just to look at them.
Oh, I was just going to say we hadn't heard anything from the boys yet.
Oh my God, the song just changed entirely.
Wow. Oh, he also gets one of those jackets. Oh, wow.
First gen rapping is so aggressive.
It really is. Oh, one of the girls is a rapper too. She has a lot of strange headbands.
Oh, she'll show you what's up.
Okay, so it seems like both of the boys and one of the girls are rappers, and then we have the 2 other female vocalists. So this is what I think is a real missed opportunity of these first-gen co-ed groups, is that they separated them like that and never let them sing all together.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, there was a shot of one of the girls, like, she's, like, fully wrapped in pink satin and, like, sitting behind jail bars, like, just, like, a little face sticking out of all this fabric.
Well, that shot, they had, like, right at the beginning of the music video, they had shown us this cage that had this shiny, flowing, billowing fabric like the SM Town music videos, where they just, like, had them stand in front of shiny curtains. But the girl was not, like, in it.
Oh, it's so funny every time they got
it's
to
so
it.
funny. And this like weird silver jacket, I can't get over
I'm
either.
assuming that it is the same
Yeah,
jacket.
they only
and
have
put
one,
all the
and they
members
just made
in
them
it.
all wear it. Yeah, because we've never seen more than one of them in it at once.
Yeah. And then these like shapeless green tunic turtlenecks.
Oh no! Look, they do have more than one.
More than one. All right.
All right. Sharp.
Oh, first gen K-pop.
Sharp.
Wow. Well, that's it. And I think we exhausted our recommendations in the episode we recorded earlier for the earlier show this week.
I would say, I mean, there's always really good footage from KCON concerts. So, you know, if you were intrigued by any of the stages that you heard us describe today, just type in KCON 2022 LA, like, in whatever group it was. Like, look it up for yourself, because they do have really, like, the KCON is always broadcast in Korea.
It will be an countdown episode at some point, probably later this month.
So they get real, like, good official camera footage and, like, edit it together with, you know, shots of the crowd and stuff. So all that stuff is available. It's not, like, locked behind, you know, content walls or anything like that. You can find the performances.
So I say check it out, because like it was really good to see everybody, and like I love Kepler, and like those Lightsome girls do seem like they're doing a great thing. And, like Gravity has good songs, and Hypen has some good songs, and like
Stray Kids was so fun.
Good times.
And, yeah. And my ITZY did my serve.
I know. So exciting.
So lovely.
I bet that the AT songs where they had the swords and the flags was a kingdom thing, right?
Probably.
That was my first thought when I saw it. I was like, oh, they probably did it like this at Kingdom.
Sure.
But also we learned from those girls outside that AT's has a whole very complicated apocalyptic.
Yes, they have a whole lore. Of their dystopian.
Yeah, everyone was wearing the armbands.
Yeah, and the hats with the diamonds. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a great time. So lucky and #blessed to have gotten to go. And I loved it. And I hope that we see lots more of y'all there next year. And oh boy, who knows what's going to happen. So exciting. But that's it for today. If you would like to find us online, we can be found at AMAKPopPod on Twitter and Instagram, AMAKPopPod@gmail.com for emails, 181-AMAKPop5 for voicemails and text messages, P.O. Box 26096, Los Angeles, California, 90026 for regular old snail mail. Linktree/AMAKPop for all of the other places that you would like to find us or our listeners, and patreon.com/AMAKPopPod for extra bonus episodes. And we will be back in just a few days to tell you finally about the 17 concert that we saw. Our 4th time seeing 17.
Yes.
Speaking of #blessed. I love it. I can't wait to tell you all about it. So we'll see y'all then. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Jonghyun, you're our inspiration.
Hi, everyone. This is Susie and others who will introduce themselves now.
Hi, this is Jantax.
And this is Jamie.
And we're just gonna do a quick recap of the second night of KCON, because we were there and it was awesome. So we got in. It was so much smoother to get in on the second night. Like security knew what they were doing the second night and got everyone in. So we had a bit of downtime once we got in to like find our seats. We saw each other's. We were sitting on the exact opposite sides of the venue, so that was fun. And then we got to our seats and the pre-show started, and it started with the woman who had been emceeing I think she was emceeing the meet and greets, as well as KCON rookies. Turns out she's also a singer. She was a great singer. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'd heard of her before. She had done something with Mamamoo at some point, and she had actually told us in the meet and greet with Luna that she had done the guide vocals for 2 of their hits. So it was really cool that we got to hear her sing. Her name is Esna, by the way.
Yeah, she was fantastic, and also she had this beautiful like jacket thing that I loved. So I really remember her look and her voice. I have to look her up more. And then the second pre-show, there were like 2 little pre-show shows, and the second one was Ellen and Brian. They're like a dancer duo. I think they do primarily K-pop, but I could be wrong about that. Like a YouTuber. They post a lot of their little dance covers, and they were great. I can't remember what songs they did besides Monster and Ping Pong. Do you guys remember?
I mean, those are definitely the ones that stuck in my head. They were just so cool. And like, honestly, for it being a pre-show and not everybody totally in their seats and ready yet, the crowd just went wild for them. They were absolutely, like, people loved them. It was great.
Yeah, they were great. I think they did actually, we're talking about Ellen and Brian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know they did Zoo.
Yeah.
Off the SM album with like Taeyong and some of the other Neos and Giselle. They did mostly SM actually.
Yeah.
That I can remember.
Yeah. And I mainly remember Ping Pong, and then they kissed at the end and the crowd like went wild. It was very fun.
They were fantastic.
They were really good. And then the boys opened the show with Maverick, and it was so good.
So good. So incredible.
Just had great energy for an opener too. Like it was such a good thing to open the show with.
I really agree. I think that's a great song to open the show with, and they were just incredible. And we found out later that they had arrived at the venue an hour and a half before the show started, gotten their hair and makeup done, and gotten on stage, and that they had just arrived from Korea that day. We were like, wow, like I couldn't do that after an 11-hour flight. So that was pretty wild. I have written in the set list that Jamin and Jeno were the special hosts because they came out right after that. They didn't sing, but there was kind of a notable moment, especially because the audience was full of and citizens. So that was
Yeah, it was
they were all-
exciting.
it was pretty exciting because we were like, oh, it's going to be one of the English speaking idols that are here tonight. And no, Jamin popped his head out and Jeno, and they were fun. Then a group that does have an English speaking person, P1 Harmony, did their two songs. They did Doom to Doom. I've never had to say that out loud. That's not how it sounds in the song. It's more like dum da dum in the song. And Do It Like This. And they were great. I don't know what to say about this. Everybody was so strong. I really like those songs. So, yeah,
Yeah, I wish they had done one more.
I'm with you. I could have watched them do another song for sure. Any of the rookies.
Yeah, I feel like the other groups got like one more chance, like a third chance to kind of showcase something, and P1 Harmony kind of just came on, did their songs, and never came back till the end.
That's true. They didn't do any like surprise emceeing or anything. So that would have been hopefully next time they'll have a bit more to do because they were really strong performers, and yeah, everyone knows Kyo's got a fantastic voice. So
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever heard either of these songs before, and they were both really, really excellent. Um, and it was kind of unfortunate, like the most most people's sets were about 3 songs, and then like the kind of some of the bigger groups got 4 or 5. But yeah, P1 Harmony only got the 2. That was it, and that was kind of too bad. Them and the next group we're going to talk about as well only got 2, and I'm
yeah,
not quite sure why they got shorter set lists, but
that was going to be my transition as well. Stacy
oh
was the
no.
next group, and they also only did 2 songs. Like Jantax was saying, they did Beautiful Monster and Run to You, and they had super cute cupcake outfits.
Yeah, super adorable outfits. That was one of the highlights, honestly, just watching them do the dances in those cute little dresses.
Really puffy skirts and stuff.
Yeah, and this is one of the times when I had sort of a weird, like, this is my first time seeing this group in person thoughts. Is that one of their members, Issa, uh, every time, I think it's pronounced Issa. Anyways, every time that she was on stage, I noticed how ripped her arms were. Like she had like some muscle there. I was
I
just
noticed that
like,
on rookie night. Yeah.
yeah, not something I would have noticed, on a camera or anything, but seeing her in person, I was just, yeah, it was something that struck me.
It's wild. I don't remember that with Stacy. I do remember thinking seemed so confident. It was really fun. Like they were very sure of themselves and sure of the audience, I felt, because when they went to do Run to You, one of the members who, unfortunately, I don't know their names, but I think she had like light brown hair and had one of the pink dresses, which doesn't narrow it down very much. Um, she was like, "You guys know this song, so sing along. Make sure you sing along." Like she was just, you know it, even though they're a rookie group, and I loved that. I loved that confidence. And everybody did know. Everybody did sing along. It was great.
Yeah, that was Shion.
There you go. Xian. I'll have to look out for her.
She's the one who used to be like a child actress under JYP, and her
Oh,
father is like a some sort of in the entertainment industry as well, like a famous something. Can't remember what.
Okay,
So she
then
definitely has been around this for a while.
then yeah, that confidence makes sense. And then next, WJSN came out and they did their song Aura, which is that their Queendom song?
It is.
Okay, yeah. And this was actually quite neat because this was kind of, I guess this is the second time because the boys also just did their song Maverick and then left. But this was what kind of different from the concert night number one because WJSN did one song, and then they did the rest of their set later. And so they had to get to do a costume change and kind of create a different vibe, which was cool. This vibe was very cosmic. That's the word of choice. Like I can't think of any other word to describe like their costumes and the whole set. LED
That's a
background.
good one.
Definitely made me want to go back and check out their Queendom stages.
Yeah, I agree. I actually didn't know that they'd won. I just wasn't following close enough the past few months, and so I'm quite excited to go and watch what they've done on Queendom. TO1 were next. They did their songs Drummin' and Boom Pow, which we'd already seen at KCON Rookies. I guess we saw Stacy's as well. And Drummin's a really fun song. I don't know. It was really stuck in my head so much after KCON Rookies.
All weekend.
Yeah, I don't think I have a lot more to say about that. Just, it was fun. They were good. Everybody was so good. Everybody was so good.
I can't remember if this was the group or not, but I think it was TO1 that I don't know if Shannon and Angélica will talk about this, but there was a Toyota, it's sponsored by Toyota, next to the stage that was on a lift, and they would lift that car up to the level of the stage sometimes for apparently no reason, as far as I could tell, and then lower it again. But I think it was TO1 that actually went and like played with the car a little bit, like they drummed on it and like leaned against it. I might have the groups mixed up, but I think it was them who did that.
I think I remember seeing a clip after of one of them getting out of the car, like having sat in the back seat or something and getting out for this performance. So
Oh, I
it
didn't
probably
notice
was
that.
fun.
Okay.
I could be
That's cool.
wrong. I don't remember seeing anything. The car was on the other side of the stage from us, so I didn't notice as much any car interactions. And then NMix was next, and I have not watched I think I watched their first music video, and that's all I knew about NMix. And clearly everybody had watched that music video or knew that song because I feel like everybody was singing to that song. And I just don't know what is it? How do you say it? O.O? O-O? Their debut song.
Probably one of those.
And they also did a song called Tank, which I think was off that EP as well. And they were good. I think they have a lot of really cool dance moves, which since I didn't really know them at all, that was kind of what stood out to me. So they have like a crouching move where they like put their hand up. And I also really like their vocals. I thought they had really good vocals.
Yeah, they have a couple pretty strong singers in there, and they had quite a bit of like stability in singing live, so they sounded quite good. Yeah.
And then everyone's favorite, Luna, was next. They did Flip That, which is their latest title track, and they did Star, which is my favorite Luna song, so I was pretty pleased. And then they did Paint the Town. Oh, I wrote that in wrong. I always call it PPT, but PTT, right?
Yeah.
Which was their dream stage. They had done the dream stage. I know Shannon and Angélica talked about that in the latest episode of the like whole process of getting fans up on stage with them. And yeah, it was awesome. Gen Hex, take it away.
Yeah, it was a great set, and like you kind of expect that they'll do their most recent songs, and they did. But Star was nice, especially because they like that's the English version, and they sang that one. They didn't do the Korean version of that song. And the Dream Stage was cool too. They didn't do the like extra extended version of PTT, which is like the one that they did on Queendom, but they did sort of they did the intro before they did PTT. So it was like a slightly longer version of the song because they started with their intro and then they did the song itself. And then they had the guests, the audience guests, come in sort of just right at the end there to dance along to the very end of the song. But there's a lot of like stomping and stuff like that at the end of the song. So having a bunch of people on that stage sort of like all doing that at the same time was pretty impressive.
I kind of thought we were going to get one more song from Luna. I was kind of surprised that none of the girl groups got more than 3 songs. So I think that was the only downside, is I wasn't ready for their set to be over.
Yeah, I kind of I had suspected that it would be Uju Sonya who would get more because they're kind of more senior. So I had kind of thought like, oh, okay, Luna got 3, that makes sense. Uju Sonya will get more, but they didn't. They also got 3. So I don't know. It was that was sort of unfortunate, but they were at least very, very good songs and they did a really good job.
Absolutely. I think WJSN had like a bit of an intro thing. Like some of their songs went a bit longer than the actual song itself. But yeah, it would have been nice. It would have been nice to like hear we were saying like "So What" or something like that. That would have been really fun live next
Yeah, I was
time.
kind of hoping after hearing Aura from Muji Senyo that Luna would do Pose, which was their song
Oh
from
yeah.
Queendom, because it's very different from their other stuff, and I thought it would be really cool to see it live. It's quite theatrical, but unfortunately they didn't do that one. But
Oh,
also, if people want to go and look up stage outfits, Luna had a couple really cool ones. Particularly, Olivia had this like glittery black thing. I don't even know how to describe it, but it was very cool. I would suggest people go and look them up and take a look.
yeah. Stacy's outfits are worth looking up, and Luna's. I agree. Um, Tia One came and did one of the like relay. I can't remember if that was the relay one or the recreate one, but basically just a cover of that by Psy and Suga. And it was really fun. It was really high energy. The only thing that must be noted is there was a bit of an unfortunate styling choice, and I think that ended up being I don't know. It seemed like on the internet after that ruined the stage for a lot of people, so that was a bummer. I hope that they don't repeat that error of judgment. But the song itself was really fun.
Yeah, I was impressed with how well they did it. Just like it was they did a really good job of keeping the same sort of energy and the kind of feeling of the original song. So yeah, I thought that
Yeah,
was good too. But I agree. Like I noticed too, the costuming was a little questionable.
yeah. Time to consult a cultural expert or something before you make choices. Or just stay informed. Do your research. But they really like the audience knew that song so well. So singing along was very fun. And then WJSN was back and they did Last Sequence and As You Wish.
This felt a lot like they were sort of playing to what they were doing on Queendom, because As You Wish was a really big song for them on Queendom as well, even though I think it's originally from 2019 or something like that, but it was a big deal on that show too, so it kind of made sense that they did that one, and then Last Sequence is just their newest one. But yeah, those were all really good too. This one they had a little bit more of a, I don't know, they were all wearing like really baggy jeans
Hmm.
and really tiny tops. That was kind of their like go-to style for this stage, and yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. I really had tunnel vision for the one with the short blonde hair. I've already forgotten her name, but uh, she's also in the cute subunit, and she acted in a drama I watched, and I love her, and I will find out her name and look forward to their next whatever they do next.
Yeah, it's Dayoung.
Diane, yeah.
Yeah.
And As You Wish was also one of those songs where it felt like everybody was singing along. I'm pretty sure it was As You Wish, because everyone had a couple lines that they were able to join in on. And then one that everybody was definitely singing along to, NMIXX came out and did a cover of Edu Nice, 17's Very Nice, and it was great. It was great.
So much fun.
I wonder how many people were coming off of the high of the 17 concert in LA on Wednesday and were like, yeah, like, let's do it again.
Yeah, I know there were people waiting for it to continue once it ended, but they just left that to 17 and they didn't do the endless Aju Nice at the end. So it was really fun though.
Yeah, their dancing was really, really strong. And then the boys were back. The boys did Whisper, Thrill Ride, Break Your Rules, and The Stealer. And it was all phenomenal. I'm really biased, but I thought it was so good. I don't know. I really liked their outfits too. I always think the boys are very cool, like similar, I guess, to Luna or whatever, with having so many members. It's always impressive when the stylist manages to like give them all something different that kind of works together. So they definitely had that. And I think the Stealer was probably the one that it felt like the audience was like really there for it. I'm really excited to watch them perform the Stealer.
I got the impression, and I don't know if this is correct because I don't know all of these songs super well, but it seemed to me like each song people were more hyped for than the last one. Like it seemed like it was like they picked their order that they were doing their songs in well or something, because it definitely seemed like every single time they were like, all right, here's the next song. People were even more excited than the last time. So, and definitely the Stealer was the most excited people seemed to be.
And then we got another little sort of interlude that we didn't really get with the concert, with the first night of the concert, because we had a little collaboration stage with two of the NMIXXs and two of the Lunas, and I'm gonna let Jantex try to pronounce those names.
Oh gosh. So from NMIXX we had Kyujin, who I think is their maknae, and Solyun. And then from Luna we had Heejin and Hyunjin.
And they did a cover of Decolami by Mamamoo, which I've never tried to say that out loud, so I'm really sorry if I said it wrong. But that was great. A Mamamoo song is a vocal song, and it was really fun. People, again, it's a song that so many people know, like all these multi-stans know these big songs, and so when somebody comes out and does a cover of them, like everybody loses their mind. It was really fun. It was really good, and it was so great to get like a little sort of break because we knew it was coming next, and it was good to break it up with the instead of having the boys back to back to have the girls come back and do something.
Yeah, and I saw at least in the Luna sort of fandom, there was a lot of praise for this afterwards because Hyunjin has quite a good is quite good with vocals, but doesn't get to do very much in Luna songs. There's just, I mean, there's a lot of members and there's other people that they leave the big vocal stuff to, and she really took a lot of this song. She was kind of the backbone of a lot of pieces of it. So a lot of people were really pleased that she got a chance to do something kind of this big.
Their outfits for that was great too. It was just like a classic suit, but it looked really good.
Can't go wrong with suits.
And then the moment it felt like the most of the audience was waiting for, NCT Dream was the closing act, and it was just 5 of them. Haechan and Mark didn't come to this particular performance, but the 5 that were there were great. And they did Beatbox, Hot Sauce, Hello Future, and Glitch Mode. I personally, I felt like with Beatbox and Hot Sauce, I don't know if I don't know where my expectations were, but I felt like they weren't, I don't know, they weren't like, they were missing something, but then I really felt like they hit their stride with Hello Future and Glitch Mode. And my personal favorite performance was of like all the concert was the whole weekend was Hello Future. I also really like that song. I am incredibly biased here. It was great.
No, that's my favorite as well.
It for me too, it really stood out from that set. Like I had not heard Beatbox before, although I did like it, hearing it there. But I'd heard the other ones, and yeah, Hello Future just really sort of popped there.
It's a really
And I'm not saying,
go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's really fun as a boy group song. Like it doesn't. It's kind of a bit unique, and just the vocals.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they all came back on stage and said their goodbyes, and I only have one memory of that, which was just Kehoe saying hi to the Canadian members of the boys, as I definitely had Canadian tunnel vision too for the weekend. I was like, everybody come to Canada, please, please bring your tour stops to Canada. Yeah, and then we were done, and it was a bit shorter than the one that was on Saturday night by I don't know, like 45 minutes or maybe a half hour or something. My theory is that they started the pre-show a bit earlier, but I think also they just didn't spend as long chatting. I think with like Stray Kids, they really interacted with the audience a lot and took a lot of opportunities to do that and kind of ended up meaning that things took a bit longer. And same with ITZY and well, I don't know. I could just name all the groups. Like I think there was a bit more talking on the Saturday night. I feel like I'm talking a lot now. Does anyone else have anything to say?
Yeah, so I actually totally forgot about this while we were there and talking about it, and then afterwards I remembered there was actually another act who was supposed to be there who didn't show up. And I don't know what happened, but and I don't know how to say their name, but it's like JO1 or something. I
Yeah,
think they're
fi-
Japanese.
yeah,
Is that
5
right?
of the members got COVID.
Ah, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So that probably, you know, that was likely 2 to 3 songs as well. So that probably cut into that length quite a bit.
That's true. That's true. Anyway, it was really good, and we're all struggling that because we're not there anymore, and it would be nice to just still be watching the concerts. Um, yeah, it was really
Yeah,
good.
I think, like as Susie was saying earlier, one of the things that I really liked about the second night compared to the first one was just how much those different acts were split up, to get the boys starting the show and then being nearer the end, having Wuchi Sonya come out for one song and then, come back later. I liked that it was split up more. It kind of kept things feeling they're moving a lot, feeling like there was always something fresh. Whereas I felt in the first night that a lot of stuff was in like larger blocks, and so sometimes I would have a little bit of be kind of getting tired or distracted by the end of those blocks.
Yeah, I think it like helped play to the multi-stan audience because yeah, I was there for all of those groups. I was really looking forward to all of those groups. And yeah, like maybe the boys a little bit more and maybe NCT Dream like a little bit more. But I wanted to see all those groups and it was really fun to like have them keep coming back and doing more songs and more performances. Yeah. Okay, well, I guess we should wrap up. We talked for longer than I anticipated. Um, it was good to relive it. Um,
Yeah, so should we just do some final thoughts?
yes, yes. Any final thoughts you have, go for it.
Yeah, I thought like obviously I was there for a lot of these groups, and both nights were awesome, and I really enjoyed this. You know, being able to see Luna on stage for the first time, and they're one of my alts, so it was really special to see that, and they just absolutely killed it. So that was awesome, and then just I thought that the whole thing had really really good energy. Like everybody seemed there's no real moments, especially in the second day, where I felt like people were kind of like less interested. Like people seemed to be into everything. Everybody was cheering for everything. I was kind of worried, like if there were going to be groups where people would be sort of like a little less interested. No, that was not the case. Everybody was just yelling for everything, and it was really awesome to experience that live. And it was actually a little nice to get out a little bit earlier. Day one was a long, long show. Yeah, that was my thoughts.
I agree. I think I've already said it all. It was really, really fun, and I'm really happy I went, and I'm glad I got to meet all of you and to get to experience the K-pop joy in person, and also seeing the boys again. That was pretty good.
Yeah, getting to hang out with all of you was definitely the highlight, and getting to see the boys so soon after having just seen them was incredible. And then, of course, just being able to see the Dreamies for the first time ever, that was unreal. I'm not even sure I've totally processed that yet still, and it's been days. So, yeah, everyone was incredible, and I came out just wanting to know more about the groups that I didn't know as much about and loving the ones that I already loved even more than I already did. So, win-win all around.
That sounds like a great summary to me.
Yeah. All right, I'll wrap it up then. Thanks for listening. If this ended up all getting played, thanks for listening. And we really hope that we get to, yeah, see more people like do it again and see more people. Well, I'm speaking for you guys, but I think that, yeah.
No, for sure. I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, same here.
Wow, thank you so much to Susie and Jamie and Jantax for taking time very late at night to record that so that I could get it into the episode in time. It sounds like you guys had a really good time, and I'm really glad that we could have this Sunday perspective in this concert episode. It was so great to meet all of you, and I hope we can do it again soon. Okay, the episode's over for real now. Bye.